The Tokina 16-28 f2.8 ATX Pro. Is this lens a hidden gem for filmmakers? This ultra-wide-angle zoom lens is part of Tokina's premium ATX Pro range. It is designed for either Canon or Nikon full-frame cameras, but will of course fit in front of many APS-C-sized sensors. With an all-plastic exterior and a budget price range on the used market for around £350, you may be mistaken into thinking that this is a budget lens. But with its complex 15-element optics and its 950-gram weight, this lens is anything but budget. With a 9-blade design and a constant max aperture of f2.8, this lens is obviously a really good choice for lower light performance. It's also really good at creating a smooth, uniform and aesthetically pleasing bokeh. Combined with that 16-28mm focal range, this may well be the perfect lens for vloggers or any kind of YouTube creators. So enough of the specs, let's jump in and look at the good bits of this ATX Pro lens. Value for money, it has to be said, and not just because I'm a bargain hunter, but on the used market, this lens represents incredible value. If you consider that a similar age 16-35mm from Canon on that same used market costs around twice of what this does, you start to see the value in which this Tokina represents. And with that value, you also get fantastic build quality. This thing is truly built like a tank, coming in at nearly 1 kilo in weight. Underneath that plastic exterior, there's clearly a lot of metal and glass going on here, and you only have to look at the front element to see the quality in which this lens oozes. Truly in hand, it feels premium, professional, every bit of that Canon L series competitor that I mentioned earlier. The only drawback from that build quality is the slightly unusual push-pull auto to manual focus clutch. It's a bit of an odd design flaw and feels a little bit plasticky in hand. Finally is obviously the optics and versatile aesthetics that this lens will render for you. It is a little bit soft at the corners when open at maximum aperture, but that smooth bokeh and shallow depth of field you get make this lens a joy to film with. The wide angle of focal range is also a fantastic addition for video. It comfortably allows for 2 people to be in the same frame, but will also accommodate for those handheld selfie style vloggers out there. So enough of the good bits, let's jump in and look at the bad parts of the Tokina 16-28 ATX Pro. First up is Tokina's silent DC motor. It is anything but silent. The autofocus motor produces noticeable noise in a video context. If you're recording audio internally in the camera, either with the internal microphone or hot shoe mounted mic, you're gonna notice noise from the lens and it is going to be off-putting to your video. So it's something to bear in mind. It's also an extremely heavy lens. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad point on its own, but it is a consideration to have. This is more of a word of caution. If you mount this lens onto a smaller APS-C sized DSLR, your camera is going to become extremely front heavy. Also, if you're the type of shoot that's going to be using it handheld or even in that selfie style, that added weight is going to be a consideration for you. Beyond those points, we have the smaller but significant issues such as the lack of image stabilization. For anyone shooting handheld, that's definitely going to be a consideration. But in fairness, when you consider the price point, the build quality and the optics that you get from this lens, that's a fair compromise to have. So when you account for all the good bits of this lens, from its insanely low price point and build quality to great optics, you have to say that this is truly a hidden gem for filmmakers. And sure, it doesn't have the same allure as the red ring from a Canon L series, but as a premium lens for video, this definitely competes. So for any newer filmmakers out there looking for your first pro-grade lens for video, you definitely won't be disappointed with the Tokina 16-28 ATX Pro. So for some more information on this lens, there's some links below, and whilst you're there, why not consider subscribing to the channel or even signing up to our Filmmakers Club on Patreon to get access to our copyright-free music library. That's been my grab and go review of the Tokina 16-28 f2.8 ATX Pro. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.